Hello guys, and welcome to another video. This will be pretty much the same as the one I did on Cloudrest, which I called an advanced raid leading guide for Cloudrest. Now this is going to be an advanced raid leading guide on Asylum Sanctorium hard mode. First of all, that tells you that this is not going to be a strategy guide. This is not going to be a basic guide for the mechanics or anything like that on Asylum Sanctorium. And this video is therefore not going to be directed at groups that are going to be going for that first clear or, you know, trying to make themselves familiar with the very basic gameplay in this trial. This will really just be more focused towards the players who are trying to push their time and trying to get a better score in this trial. But as I said before in the Cloudrest video, I hope that some things that I say here can be applied to also less experienced groups. That would be great, obviously. I want to talk about your raid leader role in Asylum as a whole first. It's going to be a bit different than it is in Cloudrest because you don't have to do as much reactive callouts in this trial. You don't really have to make decisions on the fly. Really, only things that you have to decide quickly are who is going to use a horn next, and also the focus on the mini bosses, really. And in our case, we are only going to be killing the mini bosses once, both of them. Now, for slower groups, it could be Lothis twice, Felms once, it could be both twice, it could be even Lothis 3 times and Felms twice. But, you know, after that threshold, we kind of go over to the, you know, less experienced groups, and this video is not really, doesn't concern that. But those things really are the only things that you have to, you know, just decide on the fly as a raid leader. Other than that, really, there was a funny joke that we actually came up with. My good friend Karma, who is raid leading for Hodor currently, actually kind of invented the raid leading style here, where we call him the Karma Notifier. And now people have started calling me the Kala Notifier after this, after I took over his style of raid leading this trial. Really just calling all the mechanics as soon and as precisely as possible. It's just making sure that everybody in your team stays alert and making sure that everybody notices these mechanics in time and is able to react to them accordingly. Now, obviously, everybody has the same add-ons as me, but this is just something that is helping some people, at least. Most people, even, you know, just hearing the callouts in voice chat and being able to react to that voice. Outside of that, your role as a raid leader, I mentioned calling the horns. That plays a big part in this trial, a bigger part than it does in Cloudrest, because here it's so much easier to waste the horn completely. Let's say the main tank uses their horn next to the main boss when people are, for example, just done kiting and they are at the furthest possible point from the main boss. In that case, alright, the main tank uses the fucking horn and it hits absolutely nobody. So that's a wasted horn there. Same thing applies. The back healer uses the horn too far back. The front healer uses the horn too far front. All of these things, they are not going to be hitting as many people simply because of the size of this room compared to most boss fight rooms in this game. Also, you don't really want to be calling horns on immediately as a sphere is about to spawn, because, you know, that again goes to waste kind of. You're going to be missing damage on the main boss after that. But yeah, I will talk about the horn calling a bit later during this clip that I'm going to play. Another thing that is going to be huge for group DPS is the sphere callouts. You need to be calling the spheres in, you know, early enough for everybody to be able to react before they are activated. So if there are people still on Olms spamming and weaving those light attacks after a sphere is up, all of that is going to be a huge group DPS loss. So you just need to call the spheres as soon as possible. I used to do all of it myself, but that's really a waste of resources. You can just assign this job to the healers. So the front healer, Tabata, check her Twitch and YouTube, by the way, in the description, is calling the spheres that come from the front, or at least doing it most of the time when she doesn't have anything else to do. And our back healer heals the fields. Check out his YouTube, by the way, in the description. He's calling the orbs that come from behind, or the spheres rather. Sorry, I'm mixing some terms here, but yeah. This is gonna free some responsibility from your shoulders, and you can focus on DPSing the main boss. I immediately noticed that my DPS went up a bit after I stopped focusing as much on the sphere spawns. Anyway, that needs to be done quickly. Other than that, as a raid leader, you don't really have any other jobs here in this trial. You call every mechanic, you call the horns, you call the spheres, and you call focus on the mini bosses. Really, that's all of the, I would say, active raid leading that you do. Obviously, there's a lot of passive raid leading going around. You are going to organize the group and optimize gears and, you know, whatever. But this video is not strictly about that. Anyway, the group setup that we are running here, we have 8 DDs, 7 of which are mag blades, and 1 of whom is a sorcerer. The sorcerer is doing the interrupts with the off tank. But yeah, I don't want to go too deep into the individual roles. Then we also have 2 healers, front healer, back healer. Front healer does the kiting when it comes to lightning AoEs, back healer, Olorim, everything. You already know this. Other than that, we have 3 Master Architect users. I'm one of them. I play in the middle on the position 5. If you guys know what I'm talking about, the position map that you have probably seen, the strategy image, you know, that goes around the interwebs when you search for Asylum, help for Asylum Sanctorium. In the strategy map that I'm talking about, the first person on entrance, or the first DD on entrance, is playing the position 1, and the last guy on exit is playing the position 8. So I'm at position 5 with Master Architect. Interrupter is on the position 4, so they're in the middle. They can reach everything, or every part of the map, really. And then we have the other Master Architect users at positions 2 and 7. And this tells you guys, your smarter guys out there, that the guy on the position 6 is going to be playing between 2 Master Architect users. In our case, this player on the position 6 is going to be the strongest DD player in the team. Other than that, all the other mag blades are just playing a full damage setup that I will not really get into. But if you want to ask any gear related questions, feel free to do so in the comments below.
An icon Major Slayer again.
I got it.
The healer said he got a Major Slayer. You don't want that to happen. They should stand a bit further back from the group at the start.
Wow.
Let's go one more steep this time. Give everyone
So many ways to light it like there. Oh my god.
Get immortal now.
I think I missed 2. One side note, by the way, guys. This is from my live stream. I wasn't recording this run, so I apologize for, you know, talking to the stream or talking by myself here. And that is because I was interacting with the stream at the same time. Also, I apologize for this latest follower, latest subscriber thing is here, but I guess it's a nice shout out to this nice guy Shafo, who happens to play in our group as well. Whatever. Yeah, I don't usually talk by myself while playing. I was simply interacting with the stream. I apologize for that. That is pretty bad. Pretty bad, even by my standards. Nice, that was a good call out, Tabby. nice manly voice and enough enthusiasm. Great. Yeah, she called the sphere nicely there. Under the boss. Conquer, you have a horn or is it bugged?
Yeah,
my own.
Alright, one thing you notice here is that I didn't really call any horns so far. That is simply because we have the horns have a fixed rotation at the start. The first 4 horns that are being used, the first one at the start when we engage the boss is going to be the front healer. They have jaw bolts, so it's a long horn, and also it's sort of hard for the front healer to use their horn, so we can just get rid of it right away in the beginning. Second is the main tank. Same thing again, it's maybe a bit harder to utilize than the horns that we have behind the main boss. So we use that out of the way, and then after the first 90% jump, we have the off tank use their horn, and after that first kite phase, we have the group healer use their horn. After that point, I start calling the horns dynamically, as you will see in the video. Right now it happened that the main tank forgot or just missed their own horn at the beginning. That's a tiny group DPS loss, but really no big deal. He has his horn up right now, and I will just call it later on. You forgot to use it, yeah. I should have taken some coffee. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Alright. To record this video. I'm recording this video for the second time now. Just the recording corrupted. This horn, please. Horn. Almost died there in the poison. Don't take stupid risks for the
And transformed.
major argument. Block.
Come from behind. Block.
That was a bad call by me. I missed the cone from behind. When it comes to calling cones, I would suggest you always do it like beforehand. You have a add-on here that tells you, a cone is coming in however many seconds, and I feel like you should always be recalling like something like a cone soon, and that is already gonna get everyone's attention towards you, and after the cone actually happens, you can just call block. I feel like this is the best way to go about it. If you just call the block immediately, well, I mean, there are reaction times. Everybody has a different reaction time. There are different pings. There's everything, and it might be too late if you call it exactly when it's actually happening already. But yeah, I missed this cone. That's really my bad. It came from behind, and I'm glad nobody died. Especially when the cones come from behind, you want to be calling them as soon as possible, or as precisely as possible. Kite and cone. It's on me. Exit front. Outranged. Alright, front healer didn't call the sphere this time. She was probably busy doing something else, but I managed to call it myself. I got the cone. Something that I called outranged, if you heard that. This will help the interrupter as well as the off tank, for the simple reason that they are looking at the timers here, and they know, in this case, they knew that Lothis is gonna do the interrupt mechanic after the cone. If you outrange the cone, Lothis stops the animation. Like, I outranged the last tick there, so Lothis ended the animation about a second or two earlier than he would usually have. So calling the outrange is gonna wake up your off tank, wake up your interrupter, and they're gonna realize, all right, it's getting outranged, so the interrupt mechanic is coming sooner than they thought, so they can turn their attention back towards Lothis immediately. Here's the horn. Never mind, neighbor's horn. I called the back healer horn, but immediately as I called it, I looked at the film's timer here, the jump timer, and I noticed that films is currently in the process of jumping. So this means that our back healer, Heals the Fields, is in the really far back portion of the room, and he's not going to be able to use the horn for another 2-3 seconds even. So I just immediately tell him, never mind, neighbor's horn instead. So neighbor's is the off tank, and he's able to use the horn. Much quicker than Heals would have. We do not get unnecessary horn downtime here. There.
Entrance front.
I called the cone in advance, and I also called the block as it was happening. Horn, please. That is the textbook model of calling the cones, in my opinion. The cone is the most dangerous mechanic in this trial when it comes to the DDs. This one quick. Nice. Block connects there. Those things are pretty nasty. when you get jumps and cone at the same time, or maybe kite and cone at the same time, you should probably be aiming to call these as well. But like something like, you know, jumps and cone, cone during jumps, cone and kite, cone during kite, something like that. You know, just to make everyone alert of the situation that is about to happen. Now, dealing with this, for example, I'm not going to talk about that. Obviously, you know, everybody knows that you need to block and shield and, you know, move out and all that.
Underboss.
Okay.
And heals horn after kite, please. That is one thing that you can do in order to make it easier for your support. You can call the horns in advance. Like here, there's a kite mechanic going on, so I just call heals horn after kite. Now, in this case, he knows that he's gonna be using his horn right as soon as he can. So you don't really have to pay any attention to that afterwards. You can just kind of start doing whatever you are supposed to be doing. As a DD player yourself, you don't have to do the, you know, dynamic raid leading there. You can just. I'm gonna tell him, alright, there he is. Use the horn.
I'll bring it back.
Middle back. That orb or sphere didn't get called. You can see there that Heals is in the far, you know, he's cutting the film's jump, so he probably just didn't notice this one. So you need to be still paying a lot of attention as a raid leader. We wasted a bit of group DPS here because the sphere callout was a bit late. Okay, here, Lothis is at 245, and he's at 41%. So I call focus on him, that's fairly self-explanatory. Gonna TP once more, alright, cone from the back. Alright, so I didn't notice where he teleported, I simply noticed that, alright, the blast is coming soon, and he just teleported, and it could be coming from behind, so I called cone from behind. I was wrong, he actually teleported to the front, and cone from the front, and block. It's just a regular cone here.
Should I have range? I hold it.
You can.
Entrance front.
I was sort of in a bad spot there when it comes to the kite. Really, it's just my personal mistake. We need to kill Lothis, he's enraged. Kill him now. Kill him before the enraged cone. Great. Alright, he died rather quickly there after we got him into execute. But one thing I want to talk about, I said kill him before the enraged cone. The enraged cone is fairly annoying because it one-shots everybody who is not blocking and shielded inside the cone. So you don't want those to happen. Another nasty thing about it is that he's gonna finish the animation no matter what after he starts doing the cone. You can't really interrupt the cone by killing him. He's still gonna do the 3 blasts off the cone, so that is fairly annoying. Always aim to kill him before the enraged cone happens. It is very annoying. Also, the enraged interrupt mechanic, obviously it one-shots everybody, every DD who is not shielded and blocking, but that is not too important. Obviously the interrupter is kinda assumed to know what they're doing, and they are assumed to not miss an interrupt, especially on an enraged Lothis, but yeah. Guys, neighbors home. And Arthur's horn. Let's put some damage on films here already. There I noticed that, alright, well, films is 237, we are really not in a sick hurry to kill him, but it's just that he's gonna teleport soon, and I just figured, why not? Alright, let's put some damage on films here while we can.
Exit back.
Kill this. We did about 10% damage on films there, so he is now in pretty good shape to be killed after he comes back from his little jump adventure. Meanwhile, we are killing this last orb here. And once films comes back, we will kill him. Kiting.
Got double on me.
Ah, fuck.
Alright, that is fairly unfortunate. One guy dies there. I don't know if it could have been avoided easily. I think he died to a simple kite mechanic, but yeah, shit happens in this trial. I think they were just stacking on top of each other there in the rightmost corner on entrance. Shit happens, you know, just learn from your mistakes. Hold having some films, rest proper, please.
I got him on spawn.
This is kind of an annoying situation. We are missing 2 DDs currently because Propa is being rest and we need to still be killing films rather quickly. So we miss a lot of group DPS here. Everybody needs to be killing films for much longer than, you know, we would have had if everybody was alive and able to focus him. So now we have a sphere up and we are still stuck killing Lothis, so killing films. So this is where we miss around or lose around 10, 15 seconds even on the fight time. Execute films, 5 seconds. I'm just gonna say, you really always want to have the sphere down when you start focusing the mini bosses. This way you are not going to be wasting any DPS. Like right now, for example, there is a sphere up, so we are not damaging the main boss at all. We are strictly damaging the mini boss here, which is a group DPS loss, needless to say. You want entrance back? In an optimal case, we would have already killed films in that case, before the sphere was barely even activated. Or we could have just killed the sphere quickly before films, even enraged, and then just killed films after that. But it didn't happen this time. Shit happens, as I said.
Okay.
Was jumping, execute arms, block.
Exit.
Alright, now you can see here that even before the boss even started jumping, he's already at 21%. I call execute ons, so he hits 25%, he's gonna jump as his next animation, but before that you can spend a lot of time executing him. There was no sphere up even, so execute has barely even started. There's no threat of any fires happening or anything, any shitty execute mechanic, but the boss is already at almost 20% health. So just one thing there that is alright. It's min-maxing, but this video is about min-maxing. Alright, one thing that I should obviously mention is that every single DD in this trial currently is running 3 Bloodthirsty on their jewels. I feel this is really the right way to approach this trial, because the execute phase is fairly annoying here, and we just want it to end as quickly as possible. So all DDs are running Bloodthirsty. Stay there. Neighbors one.
Entrance back.
Let's kill entrance back. The sphere callout was a bit late, we probably missed a few seconds there. Heals was busy kiting films, so that is really the reason why. Confirm, please. Block from behind. Alright, so that is a clear raid leading mistake by me. I did not call the cone in time, and it happened to come from behind. And look at all these people here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 DDs in the cone currently, and well, me as well. But any one of these 4 DDs, or even fucking all of them, could have died in this cone, because it's just such a nasty cone from behind, across the map. These are really the cones that you want to avoid, and you want to call these out as soon as possible, but I failed to do that here, and that's really my bad as a raid leader. Nice job, guys. Did not expect everyone to live there. Exit front. Ignore, kill boss, kill boss. Ah, no time. And heals one, please.
Yeah, I'm counting films coming in.
Yeah, it's dead. I'm trying to think of some things to say here at the end. Obviously, first of all, the score, 113.5, nothing special in the score department. We had 1 death, but the time is rather quick, 6:32. Group DPS at the end, 370k multi here. My personal DPS, 51.2. Fight time 6:11. A very quick run, but was not the world record that we are currently shooting for. The world record time by Hoarder at the moment is 6:59, so this is quite a bit faster than that. But yeah, we are missing one vitality here. Anyway, when it comes to this trial and your role as a raid leader, as I said, you know, you can't affect the group gameplay nearly as much as you can in Cloudrest. You can't really carry the group as a raid leader like you can in Cloudrest in certain cases, but obviously you have a big role here as well. Just calling out the mechanics is gonna make the group perform a lot better. I mean, I literally just know from experience that the runs that I stay mostly silent, try that, you know, just calling horns, doing really nothing else when it comes to the mechanics, calling the mechanics. People just start dying left and right. You know, this is something that even though everybody has the same add-ons and everything, some people just need the constant reminders from somebody that, you know, things are going to be happening right now. And that is something that you need to be able to do as a raid leader. It's just your job. Simple as that. Outside of that active raid leading component, obviously you need to be making sure that everything is optimized and every DD is playing their best. You want to be calling out any easy mistakes and want to be making sure that everybody learns. Now, this is the most mechanic heavy fight in the game, and it requires the DDs to constantly improve to, you know, get the score faster. Every DD should be seeing their own DPS improve in this trial, you know, from one raid day to the other, always. If this is not the case for some of your DDs, then you might just want to bring it up. You might to start going through some things, you know, in private probably, and you know, what could be causing the lack of progress for them personally, and is there something that they do wrong? Is there something that you can help them with? And you know, if they don't seem to be performing any better after a longer period of time, then you might simply need to look into replacing that single player. I don't mean to say this, you know, you don't want to go around replacing all your friends, but it's just something that needs to be done when you are chasing that score. Some people just don't learn certain things as easily as others. It all comes down to, you know, how much time are you willing to sacrifice in order to get that nice score in Asylum Sanctorium before moving on to the next trial. But yeah, just make sure that all the DDs are doing their part, and not only DDs. Obviously, DDs have the biggest impact, I guess, on the score because of the group DPS, but as long as the debuff times are shit, and as long as the off tank keeps losing aggro of the mini-bosses, and the mini-bosses just roam around the fucking map, don't take any cleave damage whatsoever, well, you know, you have a problem there. But in these cases, you just need to discuss it with that guy. And if the Olorim uptime is 20% for everybody, then obviously you need to bring that up to the back healer. And if Power of the Light uptime is 15% and the front healer is dead half the time, then you need to bring that up. You know, it's just basic raid leading stuff. But as I said, you don't really have as much, you know, you're not gonna be directing the team as much during the actual run itself. So most of the raid leading is really just calling the mechanics, calling horns, all that. But outside of that, yeah, I don't think I have much to say but outside of this. But you can find the parts, you can find probably my gear, anything that I forgot to mention in this video in the description. I will also link some alternative points of view probably for this. Actually, I'm not sure if anybody is going to upload this clip. Maybe not, I didn't ask anyone, but this is not a special run by any means, I guess. It's a fast run, but, you know, the score is not that magnificent, so probably nobody else is gonna upload this. But whatever, I don't want to drag this video on for too long. I am out, and see you guys in the next video.